Okay, so my name is Evelyn. I'm the founder of Glanse. So Glanse is an app that gets clothes on sale from 1,500 brands in one app. And then you swipe right if you like an item, you swipe left if you don't like it. And within a few minutes, you'll have your wish list that you can buy from across 1,500 brands. Glanse is actually a product under the company that I founded. It's called eCloset.me Inc. And the vision of the company is, and the mission that we're actually working on is fashion data analytics. So the more users swipe, the more data points we get, and we slice and dice that data. We basically visualize data to show buyers, brands, comparative analysis for each brand against other brands. It's like, yeah, think of data, basically like data testing for brands. So anyway, they do like campaigns through quizzes and whatnot, just to understand like, oh, what are we gonna buy for the next season, for example. So they collect a lot of data, but what we do is that we give them like a very focused, very concise data through our user base. I came from Jordan in 2012, the first time I came to the Bay Area. And basically ever since I was a student in college, I was really intrigued by how we can utilize data in the fashion sector. Everyone agrees that no one has cracked fashion yet. Okay, the utilization of data. So I'll give you an example. On Amazon, you can go and look at an iPod, right? An iPod will automatically, looking at an iPod will automatically suggest earbuds, right? Yeah, but with fashion, if you do the same with a little black dress, okay, if it's rock style, you can't just match any black shoes that are feminine, okay? Because like tastes are different, and it's just not as binary as any other product. My story starts in 2007. So I was in my sophomore year and I built my first product on my own. And that was a digital closet. So I took pictures of everything I had in my wardrobe, and then I digitized that and I called it my digital closet. It helped me pick outfits on a daily basis and understand like how many times did I wear this item, that item. You know, I was a student, and then I ended up getting, I had a job, I stayed at my job, and then at one point after working with like investors, entrepreneurs and all that stuff in the innovation sector, I've decided that I was going to pursue it, and that was 2011. So when I launched it, I realized that people were not putting the effort into like uploading their own stuff, so content generation was an issue. My vision back then, and it's still the vision, even though with the different application, different use case, different product, I really believe that if we get data on demand from users, okay, especially right now for mobile, it can be like, you know, the location and all that stuff, and the taste, basically generating taste graphs. This is what I essentially wanted to do. I wanted to collect that data to enable brands to channel their suggestions better, like worldwide. You know, in Saudi, they don't buy the same things that they would buy, for example, in Lebanon or the States or San Francisco. So I thought that there was like an enormous amount of, you know, like inventory loss. And if we utilize the fact that everyone is carrying a device, like right now, or back then at least, like, you know, doing something, I mean, using an application on their desktop, then that data could be like a gold mine. I've decided that I wanted to move to the Bay Area somehow, because I was usually like following up on the news, and I used to work at the Queen Rania Center for Entrepreneurship, so we used to host great CEOs and leaders from the Bay Area, and every time I'd listen to them, I would realize that there was like something going on. So, and especially like being in Jordan didn't really give me enough opportunities to, or access, I would say, to communicate with like fashion brands or anyone like in the advertising for fashion online, because the market wasn't really there. The market was evolved here, and there was the right expertise, because I also want to learn, and I also want to evolve, right, in the right place. So, I mean, you can't be an actor in the desert, you have to go to Hollywood. It's the same thing. I eventually applied for a program called Tech Women. So it's a program, it's an initiative by Hillary Clinton, the US Department of State, and it focuses on bridging women around the world, especially like emerging markets, with mentors in the biggest companies here and startups. Yeah, I got matched with a mentor at Adobe. I also spent some time in Flipboard. So that was like a very good experience. And I also got matched with a cultural mentor. She was at Facebook and Google, ex-Googler, ex-Facebook. But yeah, and at that time she was at Mixpanel, so that definitely taught me a lot. And during my free time, I would attend different events, and I tried pitching investors, and their first response was like, "Are you based here?" I was like, "No." So that was like a red flag already. So I did go to Plug and Play's demo day, and by that time I had like given up on investment, on raising or pitching. So I just asked them for advice, and basically the investor asked me for my numbers, and when I told them about our daily active users, monthly active users, and all that stuff, he immediately gave me like an offer. Yeah, I did bootstrap. And then when I came to the Bay Area on my first trip, I had numbers, and that's what actually got me to the Bay Area. So when we came here, it was me and another team member. We came to Plug and Play, and we were like so overwhelmed. We wanted to go beyond what we had. And at that time, we knew that our disadvantage, or like basically the thing that we're trying to overcome, the obstacle, was user content generation, okay? And that's why we created like a new product in collaboration with 3 PhDs who were working on a similarity engine. So we launched a Shazam for clothes. The reason why we actually like did Shazam for clothes, which is image recognition for clothes, you just had to take a picture of any item and it would show you similar items. So we did that because we knew that content generation by users was very tough. So if we wanted to get data points on personalization and their personal like items, preferences, whatever they upload, that was like an obstacle. So I was like, how do we get that? So we did the image recognition. And the image recognition part, it had 3 issues. So we had to constantly crawl millions and millions of items, and we had to keep our database updated, up to date, like with the market, what's in stock, what's out of stock from all those brands, and just to have like more accuracy. And the second thing is that the technology required a lot of work, and then user acquisition, especially in the US market, is much more expensive. So like it's very competitive, so it required a lot of work. So I've decided that I was like focusing on 3 tracks, and we were too small of a team to do that. And in reality, like the end result that I was after was getting data points. So that's when things weren't going well for us, like I've decided, like things slowly like lost momentum. Yeah, so that product was complex. Like we launched it, but we've decided that we didn't want to do that. And yeah, that's when I had to like, I had 2 choices. Either I continue or I just like go back to Jordan. I've decided, okay, I'm moving forward. I don't want to let go of everything I've done. So I had to restart. I had to come up with a new idea. After interviewing so many users, I've found out that people were really excited about items on sale, discounted items, especially like in the US, like it trains people amazingly, like to get things on discount. So, so that's when we started like working on aggregating from 1,500 brands, and we launched this product. Basically, it's like Tinder. So it's my number 1 criteria was to make sure that users don't put any effort, like at all, beyond swiping. So just like give them a very simple product, no effort whatsoever, and all they had to like do is swipe right, left, and it's actually addictive. So I thought about it. I was like, I'm gonna launch this and see if it's gonna work out for 2 weeks. If it doesn't work out, I'm gonna throw it in the trash. So, so it worked out, and people were loving it. So that's why, and I was getting my data. So yeah, that's why I ended up pursuing it. And later we had like more investments. I've decided to pause fundraising because something that I've learned, so there are 2 paths. So some people, they raise a lot and they end up like experimenting with that money, and I didn't want to take that route. I've learned from the startups that I really liked here that it's all about sales. If you can, actually this is Paul Graham's also school of thought, that if you can get like 100 users, and if you can get like 1 person to pay you $10, whatever, then you have a valid product. So that's what really like was instilled in my mind, and I've decided like I'm gonna go lean, and I'm gonna basically pursue what we have by adjusting the product according to what our potential customers want. So we did run a few pilots, and we did learn from them, and we have generated data reports for brands, but we've realized that there are a few angles that need to be improved, or basically they need to be like more precise. Like I need to focus on specific angles and forget about the rest. So I did pitch when I didn't have numbers. I just had an idea, and actually I did have a prototype, right? But it wasn't really usable. So that was when I first started pitching. It was tough to fundraise there because initially, okay, so there are 2 factors to it. Definitely, I was like a first-time entrepreneur, and I probably didn't have much experience. But on the other hand, there were literally like 5 investors, and basically, like they didn't have the knowledge about my market, it wasn't their area, it wasn't their expertise. Yeah. So a lot of them didn't understand what I was doing. I think it's a two-way street with the Middle East. So I think that both investors and entrepreneurs had to gain a lot of experience and evolve. At the end of the day, like, we can't compare ourselves. Like, it's not fair to compare the Middle East to Silicon Valley, because Silicon Valley started in about like 1940 or 50 out of Stanford. Like, the culture has been like much more evolved here, and I'm sure it's going to take time for any culture around the world like to get to that. So I think, yeah, now I can take it easy now that I see it from like a different perspective. Yeah. Being in the Bay Area is not easy because like when I came here, when you're like far away from the Bay Area, you read TechCrunch articles and you see like, oh, this company was acquired for 100 million, this company like raised 10 million, whatever. So it's not as optimistic as media portrays it. Basically I had to put a lot of effort into like attending so many different events. I wanted to learn so much in such a short amount of time, and then I had to like basically build my network. That took me a lot of time, and build trust. Okay, so I have a lot of thoughts and like a few close mentors slash friends, like they tell me like, write that down, that's really interesting. So I've decided like, no, I can't talk to everyone about like my ideas, like just like randomly, hey, I want to catch up with you, by the way I thought of that. It's not really scalable, right? So I thought, if I'm not gonna write down my thoughts, how are people gonna know what I'm doing and what I'm thinking? So yeah, this is what actually like pushed me to writing, and I'm trying to write more frequently. I learned about the importance of content marketing on both sides. For Glanse as a product, in terms of like giving tips on Tumblr, like how to shop on sale, like different useful tips, and then because that would basically, content marketing is a free way of acquiring users. And then again, like content marketing, when it comes to a business owner or a company founder, it's very important to also have content, because when people look you up or look up a specific subject, you have to be positioned as someone who's an expert in a specific area. I do blog about fashion and data, and I try to focus on use cases. So that's how, like when I get connected to someone, they look at my work and they understand like where I'm coming from, versus like not knowing anything about me and judging me by one product. Yeah. Yeah, I tried to answer questions in Quora when it comes to what I focus on, and then I also blog on Medium, LinkedIn, and the most important part actually, okay, Twitter, but basically I've been organizing meetups here in San Francisco at our office, and it's called Big Data Applications in Fashion. I am personally very interested in the subject, not only for my business, but I want to know what everyone else is doing. And that's a very good way to learn, to understand like where are you in terms of like others in the market, and like it's just knowledge sharing in general. So that's why like during the first, I didn't know if it was going to work out, but I attended so many fashion events. None of them spoke about data in San Francisco. So I realized that, okay, let me try and do it. And it was very, very well received. Like people came from Gap, North Face, Macy's, and everyone was so interested. Data scientists, other fashion founders. And then we started expanding and inviting, like even others were like, yeah, we want to host that at our, company. So now we're having our third one, and we're having a speaker from Pinterest and other few exciting ones. Yeah. Basically, it's opening up communication channels, right? So more feedback for us and more awareness for them, and they find out about us. So the visa issue was a terrifying thing for me. I thought I had only 3 months in the Bay Area, and I learned as more time went by in the Bay Area, but it definitely like kept me like over the edge the whole time. I was like so worried, like, oh my God, like if we don't do well, I'm gonna, have to shut down or something because it's a U.S. incorporation. But like later I found out that there is an investor visa called E2. It's a treaty visa between so basically Jordan is one of the US treaty countries, and that helped me because so basically I ended up like documenting everything I've had, and I followed the guidelines. And because I founded a company here, that means that I will I will hire on the long run more US employees. So that's why, that's what the visa was. And I got it. How would I do it differently? I would well, now that I've went through all of that, I would definitely probably have enough savings to for you to fund yourself. That's my thing, because I think initially I was excited about the idea of fundraising, but then why fundraise if do you have to fundraise? Yeah, if you get a solid concept that is scalable, and that actually needs a lot of work, research and development, right? Yeah, so my advice would be work on it until something clicks. Don't leave your job. And then once you feel like it's going somewhere and that you have a proven business model, someone is paying you, if you're getting a transaction or 2, that's a good validation. And if you feel like customers are happy, just make 5 customers happy. If that will work, then yeah, go for it.